Hello, 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 hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. This is Shana Asby. I am Shana Asby, the family life coach, coming to you today with the Mother's Place. Yes, I know it's been a while, but guess what? I'm back. Yes, I just want to say thank you to everyone who was praying for me, everyone who kept me in their prayers. Yes, it was a hard time. I lost my second little brother, second car crash. This was like a generational curse. I'm not even going to get into that right now. I'm going to wait to the next podcast or another time to talk to you about that because it's definitely something that I want to share. So I just want to say thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us today. Even if you're catching this on a replay, make sure you catch it. I just want to say thank you again. This is Shana Asby with the Mother's Place. We have a special guest today. We have Miss Fouchina Kirkendoll with Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. She's going to be our guest today. Today is going to be education and conversation. That's right, education and conversation. I'm going to bring her in, let her introduce herself, and we're going to get it kicked off with today. Our title of our show is It's Not My Fault, but It's My Responsibility. It's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. So now I am introducing or allowing her to introduce herself, Miss Fouchina Kirkendoll. Hey, Miss Kirkendoll.
Hello. How are you all? I love that. What did you say earlier? You said it was conversation and education and conversation.
Yes.
I love that. And then thank you for, I'm happy to see that you're back and you're kicking like a chicken over there. I'm loving it. My name is Fouchina Kirkendoll, and I am the CEO of and founder of Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. It is a blessing. It is truly a blessing to be here. When I think of the goodness of Jesus and all he has done for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. Thank God for saving me. I thank you for tuning in to to this episode of Shana. I thank you for bringing me here. As I mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. I also have a podcast that comes on every Sunday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On that show, we talk about life and we talk about real life scenarios with real life people, real life topic. We keep it real. We keep it real because the truth of the matter is people are going through things, and it's so ironic that I'm here today so we could share, because I'm looking forward to having Shana, my sister, so we could chop it up, so we could just educate and conversate. So we're going to leave it open for you all as well. So we want y'all to hop in, throw in your questions, concerns, whatever the case may be. We're going to keep it live, we're going to keep it real, and we're going to keep it respectful.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So today our topic is it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. As you know, we are in this age, it's 2022. The world has changed. Things have shifted. So those things that used to be abnormal are becoming somewhat normal, and those
Yes,
things that are normal are becoming somewhat abnormal. So it seems like things have flipped. But a lot of those things that we called value or we valued of information of things that we were doing, we have to hold on to if we want to change, people's thinking to the right set of thinking. And there is a right and a wrong way. People think, it's like, oh no, this is a new norm and things have changed and everything upscales. I understand that everything upscales and everything moves into a different time, a different generation, but we still have to remember that morals, ethics, and values, we have to keep some of
yes,
those doors open so we can keep the connection alive between man and women, us and ourselves dealing with self care, us and our relationships with our children, and us and our purpose within this universe. So,
exactly.
ethics, morals, and values is my biggest, like, it's me. That's who I am. That's what I
Right.
teach, ethics, morals, and values. Because I don't train up my child just for my house, but
Mm-hmm.
it's how he's going to be connected to the world. I didn't train him just for my house.
Exactly.
Because if I
Exactly.
think like that, then he's only going to be able to connect to who I am within my circumference. But if
Right.
I think that I have to train him up, not just for my house, but for how he's going to connect to the world, then it's going to give me a broader perspective, and I'm going to have to get him conditioned or,
Hmm.
So what do you feel about that? A lot of us, when we say we're the village, but we get into our houses, we close our doors, and we lock the world out as if it don't exist. We train our children, we teach them, but we're not really teaching them how to connect for the rest of the world, but just our houses. How do you feel about that topic?
Well, you said quite a bit, quite a few things, and one of the things that came to my mind is this: is moral and ethics. Let me start with that first. I grew up old school. I grew up with my grandparents, so I have an old soul. That's what they would call old soul. And there are certain things that we just don't do. Respecting me is not an option. It's just not an option. And we're not going to go back and forth. Now, I believe in having communication because you do need to listen to your children. You do need to communicate with your children. But please be mindful. I am the parent. Okay. Just remember that, and the truth of the matter is we talk about these new norms, and yes, there are some things that are changing. We can't stay stuck in our old ways, but there are foundational values that you have because in the end, 2 plus 2 still equals 4, whether you could add it up with your hands or you could do it on a calculator. It's still the same. There's a foundation that we have to remain, and we have to stay consistent with the foundation because yes, it does take a village to raise a child. And I do agree with you. It has changed. We are shutting our doors because we don't want to get involved because everything has changed. Now, when I grew up, if I got in trouble at school, I got in trouble at school. I got in trouble on the way back home, and then I got home. And I just saw it because they already knew about it before I even got home. So when I do it now, you have some, I'm going to stick directly, I'm going to hurt some feelings, deal with our parents who send these children to school like it's a daycare and then don't get involved. And then when your child get in trouble, you want to first be in denial that your child ain't like that. And then you want to blame the teacher. No, we got to get out of that. Because one thing we have to do, this is where the village starts. Okay. First, it starts with your church, with your pastor. Then it starts, it starts at home. Then it starts with your pastor and your church. Then it deals with your school. After you deal with your school, you can't shuffle your child off, saying that, they good or they gone for 8 hours or whatever. And they, no, it doesn't work like that. You need to get involved. You need to know who your teachers are, what they teach, how they teach, whatever the case may be. Introduce yourself and let them know I'm going to be one of them parents because that's how I am. All the parents and administrators knows Fouchina Kirkendoll because I need to know what's going on with my child. And if something's going on, what is the method of communication we listen to what I said, we are going to establish so we can make sure, because I tell them, I know you have at least 20 something kids in here. I got it. I just want to do my part and make sure mine is doing right because listen, God gave me him and I'm responsible for him and I'm going to make sure him is okay. So we have to have this communication. So if you don't like me bugging you, that's just too bad because as long as he's a kid, a student in there, I'm going to be all up in the business. So what I've learned is parents, teachers love when we get involved. They just want to know that you care because the truth of the matter is it's not all on them. So going back to it's my fault, it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. No, it's not my fault that maybe I wasn't raised like that, but it is my responsibility. Now that I know better, I will do better because we're going to break this generational curse that this enemy is trying to put on us. So when you know better, you knew you raised up like that. Now you need to change that because look how we turned out and we weren't perfect. So now we got to change some stuff because whether we like it or not, technology, everything is changing. It's more advanced and we got to jump. We got to be in that trenches. We got to dig our heels in here and say, listen, This is what we need to do collectively. Let's come together. I don't mind throwing a meeting. Let's listen. I need to meet. I'm available and this and this and this time. We can do it on Zoom. I'm good because I don't have to see, as long as I can see you on Zoom, as long as we're having a conversation. Because the one thing my children know is this: because I stay in communication with them, there's nothing you could come to me and tell me, oh, this and this happened, because I already know before I get here. So my question to my son is, hey, how was your day at school? It was good. Everything went all right. Well, or no, it didn't. I said, really? Because I got a phone call today, or I got an email. You want to tell me about that? Letting them know, because these kids will manipulate. Okay, they natural manipulators now. They will manipulate. If they know that there's no communication between us and the teachers, they can wreak havoc. And the next thing you know, your child's up front being expelled, and now you wondering what in the world happened. It could have been avoided. That's all I got to say on that.
Yes.
Too much.
Yeah, that I love that. I love that. I love that. I do. So communication is definitely a big partner in being a parent. It's definitely a big
Mhm.
piece. It's definitely very important. I am very communicative with my son. We have great open dialogue, and the reason why that I
Yeah.
opened that up is because I really didn't have it as a child with my parent.
Hmm.
Again, we come from the parents who said, kids are to be seen and not heard.
Right.
So we could not be in those conversations. And
Hmm.
again, they may not have known how to educate us on certain things. But now
Right.
that we know that that should have shifted into something different,
Hmm. Hmm.
communication is definitely an important factor right now. We also, like you said it before, we need to keep that communication open up with those teachers, and we have to know our children. You stated
Right.
that, you know, us going to school or going to these schools and acting as if we don't know our children, or saying, "Oh no, not my child" to the teacher. That's really damaging our children as opposed to
Right.
making them better. And that's one
Right.
thing that I definitely found out with myself. I made sure that I went to the school, and anytime that I went to the school about an issue or a concern, I knew my child.
Right.
One teacher, I had an issue. So my stories are a little bit different. Of course, I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan, and I noticed that every time you go into a different environment, the school systems are different. So a lot of the lower class schools within, lower income neighborhoods in Detroit, different places, the education is it's always a fight. And
Right.
a lot of those environments, they don't even want the parents to get involved. They act as if they do want the parents to get involved, but the principals, they have this bully mentality over the teachers where they don't want any issues and they want to keep control. So it's a problem when it comes to parents being involved. So I've been in those environments. Um, I've been in so many different ones, and I've been in ones to where they were all hands on, and they were like today. My son is in high school. My son is in the 11th grade. His middle school teacher. I ran into him in the streets one day, and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And he said, "How's Marcus?" And I was like, "He is great." He
Hmm.
knows exactly who my son is. He paid attention. So I've ran into schools that way. So it's
Right.
definitely important that we open up communication, not just for our children, but keep the communication open with our children in school. I had one
Right.
issue to where a teacher was tipping over his desk. So her method of teaching is, if she feels like the children are unorganized or she does not want to teach, what she would do is come in a classroom, embarrass them in front of the class, tip over their desk, and their things will fall all over the floor.
Mm.
This was definitely an unethical practice of teaching.
Hmm.
So when my
Hmm.
son came to me with this issue with the school or this particular teacher, I was very upset because then she took it upon
And
herself to.
rightfully so. Hmm.
Yes, 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 yes. And and it's so funny because that wasn't my first conversation with this teacher. I had another conversation previous before, and she would say, she said to me, Marcus is he's unorganized. Guess what? Yes, he is. I can honestly say at that time he was a little bit unorganized. But even in his unorganization, and I fessed up to that, getting him to be organized is not embarrassing him in front of the classroom. It's actually breaking down his self-confidence and his self-esteem. And she actually made an impact, a negative impact on my son, to where he had
Mm-hmm.
became dishonest or not as
Mm-hmm.
confident within himself.
Mm-hmm.
He would talk to people, he would shake their hands and not look at them in their eyes, and this is what I taught him.
Mm-hmm.
It did a lot of damage to him. And so with that, yes, I do tell parents you have to get involved, because we don't know what's going on in these schools as we're not there. We don't know what's going on in these institutions when we turn our backs, and we definitely have to be a part of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And admit to what's right and admit to what's wrong, but challenge, and don't just go along and just take the teacher's side, and don't just go along and just take the student's side. Actually
Exactly.
listen, listen.
Exactly. Exactly. And you said some very key points, and communication with our children is very important. I had to learn that the hard way because I grew up with children who seen and not heard. I did grow up with that. And I noticed I did that more with my older son because the oldest child is always the experiment child.
Right.
The older sibling, and found out quite a few things as a result of it because he didn't feel like he can come to me, and I created that environment for him. And so when I got my youngest son 17 years after the fact, I started doing the same thing, but I was noticing some things, how he would become withdrawal, how it would become this. And I said, no, we're not doing this no more. And so now we have conversations. And I just had a conversation with him last night. And this will go to a different level, but his father is not active in his life, okay, the way he should be. I'm saying that. Now, I'm not dogging him or anything like that. I'm just stating truth, okay?
Right.
As a result of that, it's tearing him down, and I can see it. When as parents, when we disappoint our children, it tears on them. I mean, when I can see the disappointment, hurt, rejection, all of that, it just bothers me because as a mother, there's nothing I can do about it because I can't teach my child to be a man. I can just teach him how to treat a woman respectfully. But I last night, just it was laid on me. I told my son that you are enough.
Mm.
Regardless of what you try to tell yourself, the negative things that try to come to you, you are enough. You have no control over what your father does. Okay. We will pray for him. I'm not bashing him. I want to make sure I'm clear on something. This is about my son and what's gotten him there.
Right.
Okay. Because everybody is a work in progress. But I told my son, you can't control what other people do to you, but you have control over what you do and what you allow. It doesn't matter what they do. I know it hurts sometimes. I know it don't feel good. Sometimes it don't feel fair, but all we can do is pray for them. That's all we can do. And then
Wow.
we got to move on with our lives. And we got to, if you want to do something, if you want to get back at somebody, if you want, the best revenge is succeed.
Mm.
Succeed. Read. Get your face in them books and out of the electronics. And if you want to get on electronics, you better make sure you don't pick up a book and read the chapter and let me know what this chapter is all about. That's what we're going to start doing. You know, we have to be active. Sometimes we have to do it as single parents. And mothers, please don't bash your child's father, or fathers, don't bash your child's mother. They don't have a choice of who their parent is going to be. You teach them to love because that's what the word does. Because you want to plant positive seeds in your children, not negative seeds in your children. Because those seeds will sprout and it'll just start spreading. Those roots will start spreading. And the next thing you know, you got disrespectful kids. Next thing you know, you got children with behavioral language or deficiencies. Then it messes up with their education. Then you don't want that. And then next thing you know, they're doing what they need to do because they got hooked up with the wrong place because they looking for love in all the wrong places. So as parents, no, it's not your fault how you was raised up. but it is your responsibility to how you raise your children.
Mm, mm. You said a whole lot. It is your responsibility of how you raise your children. I definitely agree with that. One of the things that you said was is a disappointment. The oldest, no, let's talk about the oldest child experiment.
Yes.
So we have I teach people, dealing with family life coach, and I always talk about the oldest child, the middle child, and the last child. I always talk
Mhm.
about that because there is a difference. With the oldest child, they're the memory keepers. They're the ones who hold on to the
Mhm.
memories. They remember everything when you were in your best state, when you weren't in your best state, when you were a
Mhm.
lot younger and didn't know the things that you knew in your latter times.
Mhm.
So they are the
Mhm.
memory keepers. I always talk about
Mhm.
that the middle child is the one that kind of gets left in the middle and not really
Yes.
understands the responsibility of being the oldest, but he also does
Mhm.
not really understand what it is to be the baby. And a lot of times
Mhm.
the middle one feels left out. But if that's what the middle one feels. And then the baby is the person who is left with the brunt. They only know mom for who she is today. They don't know when she was cussing everybody out, flipping out, doing everything else, maybe partying at the time. The baby really doesn't know that. And so, but they're always the ones, majority of the times when I meet the baby, they want to be the adult. They
Mhm.
want to be the boss. They don't want to be the baby. They want to tell everybody everything else that they should be doing. But at the same time, they're lost as to what went on then, or not understanding the relationship between the oldest and the middle child because they're the baby and they don't know what happened. And
Mhm.
so it leads a state of confusion. And that
Right.
also reminds me of the generations that we have. So we have us as this generation, we have the 40s and 50s. We have the 60s and 70s and the 80s. And we also have
Mhm.
the 20s and 30s. And we have the youth. There's a gap there. And
Mhm.
we know this is the same as if it was in the family. But if we were to
Mhm.
look at the time period that everybody was in and their era and what was going on at the time that they were coming up and be able to understand that and come together with that, then I believe that we have a better understanding of who we are as a people and we'll be more close. Then,
Right.
instead of just disregarding it as if it didn't exist.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I definitely understand that oldest child is the experiment. We made a lot of mistakes. So to all
Yes.
you older children out there, don't take us and just throw darts at us and just throw us away as if we were just the worst things. A lot of us did not know how to be parents. It did not come
Yes.
with a handbook. Some of us learned
Yes.
from our own parents and some of us chose not to repeat some of the things that our parents did, which mean that we had to create our own path.
Mhm.
So to all you children out there who are the oldest child, I apologize.
Yes.
I apologize. And you, as children, you deserve that apology. And some
Yes.
of us as adults, we deserve that apology from our parents as well too. So if you have not gotten that apology, I want to give it to you today. I apologize.
Yes.
And I have to tell that to myself too. And so that means
Mhm.
that our parents only knew how to give us the best of what was given
What
to
they
them,
do.
and some of them were damaged, so they were passing
Mhm.
on broken pieces. So that
Right.
is the oldest child experiment. Now the disappointment and the hurt with our children, that is a biggie. It's still a biggie for me today. It's still a biggie with me today because you just hate to see your children disappointed. I was married. I'm currently divorced. I've been divorced for a couple of years. I was married to my son's father. And even today, to see my son come home disappointed and hurt, it bothers me, especially when
Mhm.
it comes from his father.
Right.
Can I say that I was the best steward over being that mother and not bashing his father?
Good.
I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was not the
Okay.
best steward. I still need work in that area. I still have to get work in that area because I am a communicator. And I didn't really bash his father, but I told him the truth. If my son came to me and asked me a question,
Okay.
I
Well,
gave
let
him.
me put a pause. Let me put a pause right
Okay.
there. There's a difference between bashing and being honest. One of the things that I told my son's father, I will not lie on you, but I will not lie for you. And I always tell my children, I'm going to always give you truth. I'm not going to lie to you, period. So there's a difference.
Okay. I got to take that because I tell the truth. If my son asks a question, I tell the truth. Whatever you want to go ask your dad from there, that's on you and your dad. But I
Right.
have seen some things. It was there was a young man that's on Clubhouse and I can't think of his name right now, but he always said the mothers are to be the coach with the fathers. They're to be the coaches. And so what I try to do now is coach from the sideline. Now I did
Right.
one time. I crossed that threshold
Who
because
hasn't? Who hasn't?
I felt like it wasn't fair. I felt like a
Mhm.
situation wasn't fair. There was a situation to where my son was working. He just got his job and he works all day. My son's father had a girlfriend. They cooked breakfast for each other, probably cooked lunch, and they had dishes from all day. So when my son came home, they felt like he should do the dishes. I automatically went back to my childhood as when I was on a permanent punishment by my stepmother and stepfather, or my father that raised me. And I had to do the dishes for everybody. It was 7 people in the house. And I felt like that was a lot for me. So I went and
True.
it triggered me.
Mhm.
And I went and I said, that's not right. This is my household. This is how I run my house. That's his chore. This is what he has to do over here. And I was just like, it's just not right. If she cooked for you, she should clean the dishes. Not make your son do it. But it turned into a whole big discussion. I was wrong because my son was living in his house. That was how he runs his house, and I can't run his house from over here. So I had to actually go back and apologize. But do I still feel like it's right? Probably not. I really deep down don't. But I will apologize because that is your household and that's how you run your house, and I can't say anything about how you run your household.
Well, you did the right thing. You acknowledge it and you made peace with it. Regardless, you have to agree to disagree sometimes. And I get it. Sometimes you have to agree to disagree. It is what it is. And
Yeah,
then,
I had to bite that. And I don't have a problem with apologizing, or acknowledging that I'm wrong. I would
mhm.
definitely fess up, especially if it's on my spirit.
Right.
I definitely would do that.
Mhm.
And yes, I do believe that the best revenge is definitely success. It's
Almost
definitely success.
definitely. Hmm. Succeed. Succeed.
To succeed.
And I've seen, so many people, you know, who, oh, I tell you, it's a movie by Tyler Perry called Meet the Browns. It was Angela Bassett, Rick
Okay.
Fox. Yeah. And, she was just trying to get her children's father to be active in their life. And he just like blew them off or whatever. But when she struggled, worked hard, this young man became accomplished. Now he wants to stroll up in the picture. And you know what, mom? You ain't got to say nothing. Them kids going to check their situation. And I love
Yes.
the way how it was checked right then and there. And I tell women all the time, you ain't got to say nothing. You just keep being the best mother you know how to be, and those kids pay attention. Now, granted, we take the grunt because they're upset, they're disappointed, they're feeling some kind of way, and so they have no one to take it out. So they take it out on us, thinking that we're mean. No, I'm not mean. I told my son, he told me one day, Mom, can you just be nice to this person? I'm like, I'm always nice. But what mom does not do is deal with foolishness. That's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to accept anything less than the best. And that is what I expect of you. I'm going to always have your best interest in mind. I said, just trust me now, believe me later.
Exactly, exactly. And a lot of people, a lot of our sons or our children, even our daughters, don't understand that, But I can't say if we're the best steward over what we have to do, because I was that person, worried about what that other person's not doing, what they're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
what they're not doing. But I had a
Mm-hmm.
dream one day that I was actually in a hospital gown. I had a hospital wristband on, and I went to the gas station, and the guy was like, "Hey, did you just come out of?" A mental
The
ward?
hospital.
I said
Mhm.
no. I was in the hospital. He was like, you was in the hospital? I said, yes, my blood pressure was high. And I was just on the phone with my son's father in the dream. And to me, the Holy Spirit was telling me, like, if you keep going this way in this direction, worried about what he's doing, you're going to end up with high blood pressure. You're going to end up in the hospital. You're going to drive yourself crazy. Because I know I can't change somebody else. Guess what? No more. I'm not worried about what he's doing. I'm just going to do what I got to do. And if
Well,
it
let me do. Oh, go ahead. Finish up what you
And
was
if
gonna
it
say.
and if it affects him, if it affects him of what I'm doing being a mother, that's his problem.
Yeah,
But
pretty
because
much.
what matters to me is my son. So
That's
I am that person that just I run my son here and there. I take him to get a job interviews. I take him to therapy if he got to go to therapy. I check up on his school if I have to check up on his school. If he has to go to the
mhm.
doctor, I take him to the doctor. Um, Actually, he comes over here and he is Chef Son RD. He comes over here. He
Yeah.
cooks. He can't
All
cook over
right.
there, but I inspire, encourage, motivate self sufficiency over here. So that's what I do. I can't
That's
worry about
it.
what he doesn't do, but what I
There
can
you
do
go.
is make sure you don't reverse the things that I already put in him.
Yes, exactly. And kids pay attention. They're a human recorder. They pay attention. I want to go back to the part where you had that dream. I'm a testament of it.
Mm.
Congestive heart failure, 2 heart attacks, over five
Ooh.
strokes. I've gone through chemo, infusions, and I still get platelet shots. I'm telling you, every ailment that I've had, every setback I've had has come from stress. And it's come from stress from being married, a failed marriage. It came from failed relationships, and my youngest son coming from failed relationships. It has brought me to that place. And God was finally telling me, and just recently I was diagnosed, and listen what I said, diagnosed with lupus. And now I already have
Mm.
another autoimmune disorder. But I'm
Wow.
not doing any of that because to look at me, you would never know I've gone through all that.
Right, right,
Okay.
right.
But, but God,
But God,
but
but
God.
God.
And my youngest son was there for the heart attacks, the strokes. When I came out of remission, almost died. He was there when the hospital had to come in, the ambulance had to come in my apartment, blood just gushing down my face. He was there for all of that. Okay. I tell my son, if you ever want to question God or feel like whatever, because he feels grateful, go back to your mother. You were here when I went through all this stuff. How did you feel? It made me feel sad. And what did you do? You prayed, didn't you? I said, look at me now. I'm still kicking like a chicken. I still work. I still got my right mind. I still,
Right.
I got my limbs and stuff like that. And what I had to do is I had to let go of all the anger that I had towards not just my children's father, but to people who have wronged me, regardless of how you have whatever situation you've had as a child growing up. It might have been abusive, it might have been not abusive. At some point, you cannot continue to hold that because it's like cancer. It will rot at you and it will start killing you and it will affect your health. Let me be the first one to tell you, it will affect your health if you don't get control. But you know what I recently did? And this is the hardest of all. I had to learn to forgive myself. That was a hard thing for me. And when I say recently, I'm 51. Okay. It was 2 weeks ago. I was going through this funk when they gave me that diagnosis. I've always been a survivor. Now haven't been, and they ain't gonna stop now. But it
Right.
caught me on my rocker because yes, you do get tired. Yes, you do get weary. Yes, yes, yes. It does happen. And we're gonna have our moment. But you know what? It's okay not to be okay. Just don't
Yes.
stay stuck.
Yeah.
Don't stay stuck not being okay. And I finally was asking, Lord, show me the root of what's going on. I realized it was unforgiveness. When I thought I forgave, I didn't forgive. And I finally had to forgive not just them, but finally I had to say, China,
Mm.
forgive me for when I didn't do right by you. Forgive me for the choices poor choices I've made and what has led to the health situation I've come. Forgive me for holding you back and not forgiving. And now I am now submitting myself. Now I can submit myself to God. Forgive me, Lord, for when you forgave me and I chose not to forgive myself and hold myself in bondage. That was such a releasing for me when that happened. When I forgave myself, it just took me to a whole new different whatever. And so guess what? We got to get to work. We got work to do. And then I started thinking, wait a minute. I got a big breakthrough coming in. That's why the enemy is coming at me the way he's coming at me. Oh my gosh, let me get myself together. I want to receive my breakthrough, because the more the enemy keeps us distracted and distracted, the further and further and further and further we get in the way. So now he'll start using your children, he'll start using your family, he'll start
Family.
using this, and
Yes.
he'll come at your health, he'll come at
Yes.
what he knows that's going to be some type of Achilles heel or whatever, but God. And in the name of Jesus, I bind that. And I
Right.
bind that for anyone that's going through right now. I bind it in the name of Jesus. We not
Amen.
having that. Victory is ours. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory today is mine. I told Satan to get thee behind. Victory today is mine. And it is yours, honey. It is yours. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Now you know better. You do better. And now you can't blame nobody but yourself. But we're not doing that. We're going to move forward. And just like Jacob Ladder says, every round goes higher and higher and higher and higher. And that's what we're going to do. Stay hold to God unchanging hands. He is always there with you. Even when you least expect, he's there with you even harder. Just hold on to him. If you can't say nothing, just think it in your mind. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You just need the faith of a mustard seed. And if you know how small a mustard seed is, then you will have no issues. Okay? And build upon it, build upon it, build upon it, and watch the releasing and refreshing come into your life. You can't hold yourself hostage. Even as a parent, I had to stop holding myself hostage on how I felt like I didn't raise my oldest child right, but I did the best I can with what I knew how. But then the enemy is holding me hostage. Don't let him do that. Okay. Don't let him stagnate you. You ask for forgiveness, and then you forgive yourself and keep it moving. And what you do, you just do better. You
I
just
like
do
that.
better. That's
I
all
like
we
that.
can do.
I like that.
There's no such thing as mistakes. They're just lessons. Okay, well, I know that doesn't work. So guess what? I learned I shouldn't do that anymore. So I'm going to do this. That's how you do it. Success is made out of the ashes of failure. So I just
Mm.
want to encourage those who are listening right now. You are enough. Even as parents, we are enough. We are enough. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to see you succeed. Jeremiah 29:11. I'm here to tell you, he did not make any mistakes when he put us on this earth. Regardless of what you have done,
Yes.
you got to be hungry and you got to want change. Nobody going to make you change. Ain't nobody responsibility but yours. You have to want change. Okay? Because whether you want to believe it or not, the mistakes we made that we don't get together, it will go to our kids. Think about David in the Bible and his son Solomon. I'll use that as an example right there. Okay. And I'm going to leave that alone. You go to the Bible and read about David and Solomon. But he was out there now, but he was a man after God's own heart. And if God can use those people in the Bible, he sure enough can use us.
Yes.
Because the way I say it is, you can't be a testimony to somebody if you haven't gone through the test. You prove as proof that if he got you through, he will get someone else through. Go back and pay it forward. Okay? Pay it forward and be the example that, hey, you can get through this if they want to do it.
I like it. Yeah, I love when you stated like holding yourself accountable. We
Mhm.
cannot bask in that and not allowing ourselves to be forgiving. Forgiving ourselves is so imperatively important because we
Very
only,
much.
again, it goes back as I stated earlier, we our parents only knew how to give us what was given to them,
So I think,
and
yeah,
some of them were they were trying to do it from scratch, and
right.
there's not a handbook. So in that
Hmm.
process, in that same statement, we have to learn how to forgive ourselves and say we
Hmm.
did the best that we could do.
That's it.
And remember that I wake up tomorrow, I'm still a parent.
That's
I
right.
wake up the next day, I'm still a parent. So that means that you help your child from where they are today so they can be
That's
better for
right.
tomorrow. So it's not too late. It's never too late.
That's
With
right.
that. The window, sometimes the window closes on certain things and sometimes it's open on certain things. But when your child comes to you, it's always an open communication. You should be able to have those conversations that weren't so easy at those times so
Hmm.
you can still be teaching. So I definitely understand that. Just
Hmm.
going through, having to go to the hospital, having to have a stroke, being in that, you just had lupus. You just were told that you had lupus. That's a lot. That is a
Hmm.
lot. And I'm glad to see that you're sitting here today and you're still pumping on, you're still doing your podcast and your radio show. That's a lot, especially, and I'm pretty sure you have went through and endured a lot in your life in order just to
Yes.
say, be here where you are today. Because all of that you said that you were going through or you had experienced, you don't even look like that today. So
Well, to
thank
God
so
be the
to
glory.
God be the glory.
To God be the glory, girl.
To God be the glory. So that is amazing. That is awesome. Now I don't want to change the subject. I do want to tap on some things that I want us to talk about today because some things came up yesterday for me with my son during one of our communication times, right? So I'm taking him to work and we were talking about a young lady who was at work and she dated a guy at work. So she said she really didn't want to be in a relationship with this guy, but she's in a so-called relationship. So someone came to her and asked her, are you dating this person? And she said no, even though she was joking.
Joking
And
about what?
she was joking about the fact that she said no.
But is she
So,
really dating him?
but she was supposedly really dating him.
Okay, praise him.
So when I talked to my son about it, I was like, "Well, why would she say no jokingly? You can't do that." I said, and he said, "Well, what ended up happening is that the guy broke up with her. He don't want to talk to her anymore,
Hmm.
and anything." And I said, "Well, you can't jokingly not say that you're boyfriend and girlfriend in public. You can't do that. If you're a
Right.
boyfriend and girlfriend, it's okay for it to be known with the public." And he was like, okay. He was like, but she said that she really didn't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. She just wanted to be friends. And now the guy is not speaking to her. So I said to him, that's why, I was taught that you don't date people where you work. Because now, if you guys break up and it's a messy breakup, you got to see them every day and it could cause issues. You can either not want to come to work or you hate to see them with somebody else. It hurts.
And lose
It
your job.
causes, you can lose your job. It's so many different things. I said also, she shouldn't be with anybody that she didn't want to be with. If she felt like she didn't want to be in a relationship with this person, she should have spoke up. So it made me realize that there's a lot of teenagers that's going through this and preteens where they're getting into relationships that they really don't want to be in from peer pressure or they feel like they're pressured or they're obligated to having to be the girlfriend. Because I told him, I said, no, she has to learn how to speak up for herself and say, no, I don't
Hmm.
want to be in a relationship. I would rather be your friend. This
Hmm.
has been an issue for a long time. So that was one. The second one was is that he said he went to another guy and he said to him, "Hey, for example, I thought you were dating Taylor." His response to him was, "I leave girls in a state of confusion of being in a relationship with me to think that they're in a relationship with me, even if they're not." That part right there.
A
He
person
said,
should.
Yeah, so my son said he looked at him and was like, okay.
Like how I'm looking like, okay, but I can understand. I can relate. Um, a person who keeps chaos keeps control.
Mm,
That's an insecurity.
yes, it is.
Or it's a control factor. It
Yes.
really is. And it's an insecurity. And some people are like that because they don't like being alone because they know they have their own issues and instead of dealing with it, they rather become distracted.
Mm,
It becomes distraction. But control, distractions, control and insecurity is something special. It's something special. And I can understand. I was at back in the day. I always had one like a monkey on the and it didn't work out like a monkey on the blind. Had another one, but I already had another one in the making.
mm.
I already had another one in the making. And it comes from insecurity. It
Insecurity.
comes from insecurity. And then, at some point, a controlling factor situation, because I'm a survivor of sexual childhood abuse. So, people having control over my emotions and control my body. No, I was not having that, and it was my way of being protective of me. So, but
Mm,
we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful how we treat people, because it does come back. When you don't know better, we get it. But when you do know better, correct it. Correct it. Now, you mentioned your first scenario. Regardless, one thing I've learned, my brother once told me this: never be with someone you can't see a future with. And two, as females or males, you do not want to plant false hope with anyone.
that's right.
If you know you have no intentions, then don't plant the seeds. And either you can't be walking like a dog and talking like a cat. Well, we together, but we not together. It can't be that. It either is or it isn't, you know, and you have to ask yourself, do I really want to be around that? Because that's chaos and confusion. Period. We just don't do that.
So
And go ahead.
what I thought about was a lot of us as women who still allow that chaos and confusion to go on even today, to where a lot of men are able to play that game of acting
Hmm.
like you guys are together because y'all do things together, but y'all really not together. And so then it
Hmm.
leaves a door open for him. So if he was to cheat or you to see him with somebody else, the first thing he's gonna say is, "But we're not
We're
together."
not
And you
together.
sitting up here like, so I'm always in my mindset going back to, do we need to write a letter and say, "Do you like me?" Check yes or
That's
no.
the old school. That's
Are we
elementary. Yes.
are we in a relationship? Yes or no. We have to, we need to know for sure, or don't waste my time. And if and real men, first of all, real men don't even play with a woman like that. Number
That's
one.
right.
Number two, they play with the ones who they know that they can get over on.
There you go. Because
That part.
they will only do what people will do what you allow them to do to you.
That part.
Hmm.
So, even you women out there, and we need to start educating our young girls of not allowing a guy to put you in a position of feeling like you're in a relationship and that you're really not, or it leaves you in a state of confusion. We need to start educating our young daughters and our teens that this is not a great place. Also, we need to start educating them. I was talking to my niece not too long ago before I left Detroit, and she was saying at the age of 12, she was in an abusive relationship, even at school. And it was not even
Wow.
just verbally, it was verbally abusive, mentally abusive, and it was to where a guy was putting pressure on her to be his
Hmm.
girlfriend, and saying that if you don't, if you tell this, or if you say
Hmm.
something,
Hmm.
I'm gonna kill myself.
Manipulation.
Manipulation. So we need to start having more conversations with our children, our young girls in middle school, high school, even older, to not allow guys to put you in situations of manipulation.
And
No
let's not
mean
leave the
no.
female. Let's not leave the men out now.
Oh,
Because
oh yeah,
as
men still do it
female,
too.
As females, we are some special creatures here, and we are queens of manipulation.
We
If
are
we want
queens.
to,
Yes,
yes, we are.
we are queens of manipulation. I can't say that we are queens of manipulation because we know how to go under, how to go high, and how to go low. But at the same time, it is a mindset shift where we to be a mature woman, we should not be out here still playing games.
Yes.
Like no. If we should be going in it with intent. I had a whole podcast or I had a whole clubhouse that talked about should we date with the intent to marry? That's anybody. We should be in a special place of dating with the intent to marry. No longer, no more games. I mean, men in their
We're
40s and their
talking
50s,
adults, y'all, not kids.
not kids. Men, we have to date with the intent of becoming married. And young women and young men, you still have to be date a woman or girl to say, is this somebody that I want to bring home to my mom? Is this someone that my
Exactly.
mom will approve of?
Approval of.
And it's not that I'm getting your business because you may like something that I don't like, but yet
Right.
and still, you want to make sure that she is the best representation of who you are.
That's right. That's
That
right.
part. That
That's
part.
right. That's right. That's right. Because I'm like, if even my son, I remember he would have someone call in the house, and is Corey home? Blah 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 blah. I'm like this. Call me back when you're ready to have this conversation because Corey don't pay no bills here. Click. Then I told my son, and I had to learn this the hard way. I remember calling someone, and I think I just asked for the person. Now I grew up in a rural area, and country, they was like, did you say good morning? Did you say good afternoon?
Right.
I
It's
They
always that.
checked me on the spot. But after that, I told them, don't you dare tell you who I was. But I learned from that. And I said, and it makes the difference. So now, anytime I get on the phone, good afternoon, good morning, whatever, I will do it. It's just like when you walk in a room, what's the first thing you're supposed to do when you walk in a room full
Good
of
morning.
people?
Hello.
Good morning, hello. You greet. You don't wait till them to greet you. You greet. If they choose not to, that's fine. But going back to my son, I respect is not an option. It's not an option. You have to set boundaries, and if you don't learn, you will learn. Because I'm gonna continue to hang up that phone until you do it right. My point is, we have to set the foundation. And as young women and young men, you have to know that one, think about why you dating in the first place or why you want to get with this person. Do they bring encouragement in your life? Do they bring positively in your life? Do they build you up? Because if they don't bring positivity or positive energy, then you don't need to be with that person because they will let you know up front unless they put on a good game. But even as you learn, you'll see, are they planting seeds of greatness or seed of to destroy me? And then you have to make the choice. And just remember, like I think it's T.O., I love me some me. And it's only one me. You only get one shot at life. And once you're gone, you're gone. So let's make the most of it. I just, if could go back, that's what people say. If I could go back, things would be not different. So I'm just telling you from a person who's been there and done that, you know, make sure you okay, because if you're damaged goods, you're gonna be damaged good to somebody else. And if you meeting somebody who's damaged goods, now you got two damaged good people together going to cause some real havoc.
I like when you talked about boundaries. Boundaries should be the word of the year that we need to set
Yes.
boundaries. And
Mm-hmm.
that's with everybody and everything. And it's that comes with maturity as well to be able to set boundaries, and it's a big thing. It's definitely a big
Mm-hmm.
thing. Respect has always been a no-brainer for me.
Right.
Whether I was teaching my kids or I was teaching everybody else's children,
Mm-hmm.
respect is not always just for you and yourself. Respecting yourself is respecting other people. And that
And
goes
how
back
you
to,
allow people to respect you as well.
yes, and get people to
Hmm.
respect you as well. So it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the conversation when we were talking about, other people's kids. We have to learn how to do the respect. It has to be a morals, a ethics, and a value. It still has to be imperative. We still need to keep that as a foundation, that as a root, to having interaction with other people. Um,
Hmm.
I still do the yes sir, no sir.
Hmm.
I may not overly do it, but I do it just enough.
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
always been the girlfriend when I was younger. I always meet the parents. Like I was the person that if I had a boyfriend I was dating or I considered my boyfriend, I wanted to meet his parents. Hey, how you doing? My name is Shana. I currently reside here. I was just that person. And all my ex-boyfriends, their mothers loved me. I probably had one or two that did not like me. And the only reason was is it wasn't me, it was them. It
Hmm.
was more so one of them was he had an ex-wife and he had already had kids and she was stuck with her. She loved that first wife. So it was nothing I could do there. But other than that, I always showed my best representation of myself and I wanted to carry and I carry my we have to remember that we carry when our children walk out here, they don't carry just themselves, they carry you.
Yes.
So I carry my mom and her mothers, and because that's my last name, and the last name that I carry, my father's last name, I carry him as well. So you will want to show up showing the best representation of who they are. And that means that comes with home training, that comes with respect, that comes with everything. So if you're not giving your children that respect, morals, ethics, and values or home training, don't expect for it to come back when you didn't give it or when
Yeah.
you didn't teach it. So
That's
that
right.
is definitely it's definitely important. We have to teach that. And so, saying hello, good morning, good afternoon, and not just, oh, is Corey there? I'm not your secretary. and
How we call in
period.
my house.
Right, why you
You know,
calling
how
my house?
we
I'm
call
not
in
your
my house.
secretary. But I
Hmm.
did run into a young lady not too long ago. She said her son was 10 years old and a little girl called there and asked for him. And she said, "Hey, how you doing? I just want to let you know that I'm his girlfriend. I don't want you to get mad now." This is a 10-year-old. This is a 10-year-old. She said, "I don't want you to get mad or anything because when I say boyfriend, my daddy get mad. So I don't even want you to get upset. But Corey is my boyfriend and I'm his girlfriend. My name is such and such, and please let him know I called." I was like, "Oh my God, what do I say to a 10-year
Wow.
old?"
So you can't help. Look, the girl came real and direct. It can't get no better than that. And respectful. You know. Okay. Okay.
She was open and respectful. At that age, I would tell my son, you know what? You don't have a girlfriend. I'm your girlfriend. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like,
Exactly.
and and it's so funny because I can remember going out to eat with one of my play little sisters, and her two sons were there, and her oldest son, my son was like, so mom, I just want to let you know I have a girlfriend, or this girl wants to date me. Her name, he was giving me her name and he was giving me her rundown. Her parents would like to meet you and all this other stuff, and I was just really shocked. I was just taking it all in, and because he was only in the ninth grade. And so the little boy says, Marcus has a girlfriend. Marcus has a girl who likes him. Am I gonna get a girlfriend? I want to get a girlfriend. And then my son turned around and said, "You know what? Your mom's your girlfriend. Now turn around and shut up." My son. It was just so funny. First of all, he was there to witness what my son said, and then my son told him, "You know what? Right now, your mom's your girlfriend. Turn around and shut up. You can't talk about a girlfriend." But I guess I was just appalled at the fact that here was a young lady who my son was pursuing, or they wanted to date. She wanted to meet me. She wanted to introduce her parents to me. For my son to even come to me, that showed me a lot. Having a conversation, one. Two, for you to even realize that at that young age, you turned around and you told this little boy, no, right now your mother's your girlfriend, to turn around and shut up, was like, whoa. And I always tell people, what your kids display to other children, That's from their upbringing, that's from their
Mhm.
experiences. And
Mhm.
that would tell you a lot about your children and their
Mhm.
character. They may not be the best at everything else, but pay attention to how they treat other kids and how they talk to other people. Because even now, like me, my patience is short for kids. Like, I love kids, I love children. But if they're really like not ruly kids, and I'm looking at their parents like, you didn't set boundaries, I think my patience have become a little slim that I'm older now. I didn't think that I would get here. But my
Mhm.
son would check me, and
Mhm.
I would just be like, "You right."
And your children will do it. My son's done that. My son's done that on occasion. I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I can't talk the talk if I'm not going to walk the walk. Mm-hmm.
Yes, 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 yes. So if you really want to know the character of your children and how they treat other people, pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Watch how they treat other people. Watch some of the things that they say to you and how they say them to you. That's going to tell you a lot about your kids. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you're able to see things that they don't even see.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even see.
And
It's,
sometimes kids see things you think they're not seeing, but they see and they
they
will bring it up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And be truthful about some of those things, even when they ask you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things my son came to me and he said he told his friend, he was like, my mama don't drink. I was like, well, I drink once in the blue moon. Once in the blue moon. You have never seen me drunk. So once in a blue moon, I might take a little drink. I said, but other than that, I said, I know how to handle myself, but I would not come out of character for you because that's not the display of character that I
Mm-hmm.
want you to show the world. I have a
Mm-hmm.
bottle of wine that's been on my refrigerator for, I think, about 8 months. He said, whoever gave you that wine, they don't know you. And I was like, you're right. You're right. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that is the type of character that I feel like that we should display to our children so they won't go out here and feel like that it's normal to do.
Exactly. 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 You hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely right. Just like I told you, and I'm going to end with this, it's not your fault what has happened to you. I'm talking to my young ladies. I'm talking to all ages. It's not your fault. Stop taking the blame for something that you had no control over. Don't do that. Forgive, forgive. And for those who are in situations right now, I'm really talking to our kids. Find someone that you trust to talk to. Do not hold it in. Do not hold it in. And do not let anyone manipulate you into thinking they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They're not going to do nothing. Just go. You just keep it moving and when you get to a safe place, you make them aware of what's going on. As parents, when our children are coming to us, do not shun them away. And don't shun them because they don't communicate in the way you feel they should communicate.
That's true.
Those are your children, and you need to get to know them. My adults, women, and children, you are enough. And don't you let nobody tell you anything different than that. I got this scripture right here that I want to read. And let not your heart grow weary or from doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you do not lose heart. Galatians 6 and 9. That is what I've been really meditating on as I was going through. Forgiveness is key. It's not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness is for me. Just remember that. Forgiveness is for me. We're not going to be walking around like a bag lady carrying all these bags of unforgiveness, this and this and this and this. Release them, especially when you don't need to be carrying them. And then afterwards, pay it forward. When you get through, you help somebody else who wants to be helped. That's what I said, who wants to be helped get through. Be that beacon of light to let them know, hey, if I could get through this, I know you could get through this. Do you want to get through this? And if you want to get through this, I got
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Today we talked about so many great things. We talked about foundational values, which is morals, ethics, and values. We talked about being consistent with the foundation of teaching those morals, ethics, and values. We talked about how a lot of the abnormal is now becoming normal in the society, and even though that the society is changing and the world is evolving, we still have to hold true to those core principal values. So I love that. You also talked about how we need to go back to the church and get with the pastor, understanding that home plays a big part as well as school. We need to make sure that we get involved in our children's school system, as far as whether it's the PTA, whether it's volunteering, whether it's going up to the school to find out what's going on with the kids. Remember that we don't know everything that's going on within the school system, but it is not our fault what goes on, but it is our responsibility to know what's going on within that
you.
school because those are our children. So we do have a right to get that information. We also talked about today how communication is definitely necessary and key when it comes to your children, so you can make sure that you implant those morals, ethics, and values. And you also have an open communication that when he's going through something, him or she is going through something, that they can come back and talk to you. And that also helps with bonding. We also talked about planting positive seeds and how important that is. You talked about stop holding yourself accountable or hostage. I like that. Stop holding yourself hostage with those things that you can forgive yourself for. Nothing is your fault. We didn't get a parenting handbook. I made a statement today. I apologize to every oldest child who feel like that their parents made a lot of mistakes with them and they didn't get what the youngest one may have gotten or the middle
Mhm,
child may have gotten when it comes to morals, ethics, and values. A lot of us were only taking on what was given to them, or they were
mhm,
trying to rewrite or redo it from scratch and change it to make it better. So I do apologize again to you if you are that child who felt like you didn't get the best structure, the best. Our parents only knew how to give what was given to them. So if you
mhm,
have a parent out there who's in your life that want to be, in your grandchild, in your child's life and be a grandparent, allow them to be.
mhm,
If they're not there and you guys have a rocky relationship, call and apologize. There's nothing wrong. And call and forgive them or forgive yourself because you only get one set of parents. Unless you were, special. A lot of us have other parents that we get along the way. But you want to make sure that you keep those open communications with your parents because that automatically passes down to your son and your children as well too, because what we do comes back. We also talked about a person who keeps chaos keeps control. We talked about the issue to where how some of these men and young men now, because this happened to my son. Well, it didn't happen to his son, but he actually witnessed this conversation to where a lot of men are still keeping women in a state of confusion when it comes to a relationship. And a lot of women are doing the same thing to men. It's not right, and you should not do that because you don't want to play with other people's relationships or their
mhm,
minds. It's not
mhm,
right. It's not fair. You wouldn't want anyone to do it to your mother or your father. So why would you allow yourself to do it to somebody else? And not keeping that safety net. That was another thing that came out of it, of a man in the background or a woman. If you keep a safety net of a man or a woman back here in the background, waiting for that relationship to end, you were never all in with that relationship. You did not give that person 100% of you and who you are because you already had a safety net. That's not fair as well. We should also be
mhm,
dating. We talked about dating with the intent to marry, and that young men and young women should want to date women or men that they want to bring home to their parents. They want to make sure that they're the best implementation or replica of who they are on a respect level, that they come home with that respect and that maturity level to know how to handle a conversation, how to be respectful, and again, it reflects you off of morals, ethics, and values. We also
mhm,
talked about how we send our children, they go out there and they're actually pieces of us in this world. So how they carry themselves, they don't carry themselves by themselves. They actually carry us with them. And it goes the same for us as adults. We carry on our parents' last name. So it could be linked and traced back to us. So I carry my
Mhm.
father with me and I carry my mother with me. So how I handle myself in public is a
That's right.
direct reflection of my parents. So we have to
Yeah.
make sure that we implement those things and see that it's connected. This is the mother's place. This Mother's Place is a show or a podcast that's to help strengthen, rebuild, and align and realign mothers to their natural place of where they should be. Now, when I say the mother's place, it does not mean it's just for mothers. This is for women. This is for young women, young girls, all across the board. Anyone that can be a mother, any female that can be a mother. This is for you. It's to give you pointers, tips, guidelines, even things to help strengthen yourselves. A lot of
Mhm.
things that we've been going through or seeing out here recently have been incontestable. Like it's been
Mhm.
able to unable to digest. We've been seeing an influx on killings, on murders, on murder suicides, dealing with love triangles and different things like that. We have to get to a point to say enough is enough. No more. We have to start thinking on a higher level, know who we are, understand. We call ourselves queen all day, Sister Kirkendoll. We call ourselves queens all day, but we have to understand what it is to be called a queen. A queen knows her role. A queen knows her role. And a queen, we have queen bees. Queen bees protect, they protect everybody. They protect. So we have to learn how to protect each other, protect ourselves, protect our children. And we also have to learn how to recognize a king when we see one. And a king is
Yes,
not going to disrespect his queen because she is
not
number
at
one.
all. Not at all.
And he,
Remember, not know who you are, but whose you are.
whose you are. That's right.
Because
And
when you know that, you'll know you'll some of the things that you used to tolerate, you don't tolerate anymore. Just remember, I love me some me. You have to love yourself first. Because if you don't love yourself, it will show to other people and they'll treat you any kind of way. That's right.
yes, yes. So
And
I
just know this, it ain't too late to change. If you was doing it, you could change it now.
That's true. That is so true. It's not too late to change. So we spoke about some great topics today. And I want to allow you to know about Fouchina. She has a show that comes on every Sunday evening where we talk about real life. She has interviews people with real life situations. If you one of those people you like to be nosy, that's right. And you want to hear about other people's business, but with a great spin on it of how they got through their situations, you need to be tuning in to her show because it's amazing. Do you hear me? Amazing. I myself have been on the podcast a couple of times or the blog talk a couple of times speaking about family, my family issues and things that I've understood and how I've actually came out of them. So I want Futina to tell you a little bit about her podcast because today our show was about it's not my fault, but it's my responsibility. And this was about education and conversation. So what you just witnessed was a conversation between two females. We were having a conversation, but we were educating you at the same time. This
Mhm.
is true education when it comes to podcasts. Podcasting is to educate the masses. It's to
Right.
informally, it's to interview and get information to you for you to learn, not to keep repeating the same mistakes, but to learn from the mistakes of others. And that's what it is. True podcasting teaches you something. And it's up to you to realign yourselves with that to understand that I'm here for a purpose because we all come with a purpose to grab something. And if you're not
Mhm.
grabbing something, is something wrong with that podcast or is something
Mhm.
wrong with you? So, Fuchina, could you please tell everybody about your show, what time it comes on, and introduce it? Talk about it.
Okay, so I want to chime in on something you said because I'm very big about perception. Yes, if you want truth, you can come to Chronicles. That's what we're all about. And it's all about, I don't need anyone to tell my story because I can tell my story. And those who come onto the show tell their story. And it's for a learning lessons. It's not for you to have, oh, I saw so and so and so. No, it's not about that. It's all about truth. If you want truth, then that, yes, I highly recommend you. Or if you have a story, then I highly recommend that you send it over to me. My name is Fouchina Kirkendoll. I'm the queen, and not queen, I am a queen, but I am the CEO and founder of Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. I do have a internet radio show. It's also on Facebook Live as well, called Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. We talk about real life things, real life topic, real life subject with real life stories and testimonies. That's what this is all about. If you want truth, if you want growth, then I highly encourage you. Check out our page. I have a Facebook page called Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. You can check me out there. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. Well, I'm on Twitter as Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. On Facebook, I also have a personal Facebook page called, my name is Fouchina, Fouchina, and Kirkendoll, Kirkendoll. I have a personal Facebook page on there. Just let me know that you saw me on the Mother's Place, and then I will gladly let you in. What I will say is, if you're not on my page, you may not be able to get on my live. But if you reach out to me and ask to be a friend, tonight we have an awesome show. The month of May is dedicated to men, so it's March Men Mayhem, and we're talking about some brothers with some real life stories. And last weekend was Why Men Cheat, and tonight is going to be Free to Be Me. So definitely tune in. And if you don't catch me live, you can always catch me on the replay. And if you want a copy of the replay, just hit me up at Fouchina Kirkendoll on my personal Facebook page, or you can go to Chronicles of a Fondled Woman. For those who want to reach out to me through email, if you have a story that you want to share, please reach out to me. I can be reached at my email as C as in Charlie, OAF woman at gmail.com. That will be soon changing, but as of right now, it's C as in Charlie, OAF woman at gmail.com. And the Blog Talk Radio Show, it is an internet radio show, so you can tune in at any time and catch the replay. www.blogtalkradio.com, and you can put the / Chronicles of a Favorite Woman, or you could just go to www.blogtalkradio.com and then search for Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. I believe I got it all. So thank you all for having me and being on the show and to just sharing. And I love being a servant. I love being a servant, and I love helping people because that's what the platform was built on. I am grateful for Shana. I'm thankful for all those who are out there trying to educate, because I'm a firm believer you can't teach me if you have never been through what I've been through. Well, honey, I done been through a lot. Trust me, I done been through a lot. So there's many things that, I love the idea of this way of internet, and, because we can reach the whole world. But like I said before, thank you, Ms. Shana, for having me. I love chopping it up with you. And yes, I got to get you back on the show because I love when we chop it up. So I love when we do it. So thank you all for having me. It's been a blessing, and may God bless you, and may heaven continue to smile upon you.
Yes. Well, I just want to say thank you for being a guest on the Mother's Place. A lot of information that you gave today was definitely valuable. The conversations that we had. So I just want to say thank you so much for being in your purpose, doing what you're doing to connect with the people. God, knew who you were when he gave you to the world. So I am grateful for that, to be connected to you and your elegance of who you are. I'm so grateful that even through the pain that you have endured, that's mentally and physically, because you have endured a lot of physical pains as well, that you still are able to continuously give of yourself. And that's greatness within itself. So thank you so much for being an inspiration and a legacy and building that legacy and being a legacy for
To
your
God be the
children.
glory.
Yes, and for God. Awesome. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to wrap everything up. And hold on one moment, Fouchina. Tell
Okay.
everybody goodbye.
Bye.
So, oh my God. Yes, here we are on 3/13, 2022. I've done it. I'm back. I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for everybody who reached out to me. This show today was so super duper amazing. It was an education conversation between me and the lovely Miss Fouchina Kirkendoll. Make sure you go check out her show that's all about stories and truth. If you have a story that you want to tell, you can always check out Chronicles of a Favorite Woman. This month she's dedicating the whole show to men. This entire month, it's all about the men this month. Catch her at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I believe that's Eastern Standard Time, right there on her page, which is in Blog Talk Radio, which is Chronicles of a Favorite Woman with Fouchina Kirkendoll. So she left all her information. Make sure you check that out. I just want to say I am so ecstatic for being back. So ecstatic that we just had the lovely Miss Kirkendoll on our show. Again, this is the Mother's Place where we help strengthen, realign, encourage, motivate, rebuild mothers. It's all about mothers. That's right. Women, young women, no matter how old you are, if you're a woman, you can be a mother. Education. That's what we're about. Again, we are here to educate you. If you have any questions, make sure you hit me up, reach out to me. I am an what they say used to say at a job, we have an open door policy. You can talk to me about anything. But I just want to say thank you for who you are. Continue to be that person, that liberty, that light for some, not just yourself, but somebody else. Remember that what you do in this world not only affects you, but it affects everybody that's connected to you. And remember to show love, strengthen, rebuild, and get back to what God say and who God says that you are. So at this time, I am out, and this is the Mother's Place. Catch us every Sunday at 4 p.m. I love you guys. Bye.